Hi, have you ever wondered why some people seem to be effortlessly accomplishing their goals while others struggle? Or why some people live healthy lives well into their 80s while others battle illness much earlier? It's not because of luck, genetics, or any secret magic formula. It's something much simpler than that, and that is habits. Hi, I'm Sankar, corporate leader by day, the contemplative observer by nature. I've always been fascinated by how we grow, what makes us tick, and what connects us. Through this channel, I endeavor to bring my lifelong journey of reflection to life. I bring perspectives shaped by my diverse experiences, decades of introspection, and decades of consuming books, podcasts, and courses on self development. I hope these videos offer you thoughts to see your own path a little differently, or an opportunity to pause and reflect, or just connect you with ideas that matter. Today, we are going to talk about habits, those seemingly simple day-to-day actions that we take, and we will discuss how powerful these are. They are actually the secret code that determine the quality of your life. Aristotle once said, "We are what we do repeatedly, and therefore excellence is not an act but a habit." Let's unlock this code together today. We are going to cover the science of habits, which is how habits are formed, talk about good versus bad habits, and then talk about the habit areas of our lives, and finally cover how to build good habits and find motivation. So let's go. The science of habits. What exactly is a habit? A habit is something that you do automatically without conscious thought. According to research at Duke University, about 40% of our daily life is run on autopilot. I think that's a conservative estimate. So you see how habits are running almost half of our daily life. Now, let's get into the neurology of it, how habits are formed. What makes habits so powerful? They work on a neurological loop that consists of 3 steps. Number 1, the cue, which is the trigger for the action to be taken. Number 2, the habit itself or the routine. And number 3, a reward, something which makes your brain feel good so that you come back to it or you do it again in the future. Now, when I read about this in the bestseller, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, I started noticing these patterns everywhere in my daily life. For example, we all can relate to this. When we come back from the office to home, we are usually tired and we automatically either switch on Netflix or go to our smartphone and scroll through social media. Now, coming home and feeling tired is the cue here, and watching Netflix or social media is the actual habit, and your brain feels somewhat distracted and relaxed, which is the reward. These habits are formed automatically over a period of time based on our behavior. What makes it interesting is when certain bad habits get formed. Let me tell you how or why I'm struggling to form the habit of meditation, because I don't have a good cue for it. I told myself that I would meditate whenever I find time. So sometimes that would be in the morning, sometimes that would be in the evening, and I don't have a specific place for it either. Now, this recipe will not work because you don't have a strong enough cue, a daily cue that will form those neurological loops. James Clear, in his best-selling book, The Atomic Habits, said, "We don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems." The systems he's talking about are our habits. Let's unlock this code further. Let's talk now about good habits versus bad habits. So what makes a good habit? Well, a good habit is something which will have a positive compound effect in your life. So you see, habits work on compound interest. We all heard of compound interest in finance. When you invest at a 12% return, your money doubles in 6 years, roughly. That's compound interest for you. But habits work exactly the same way. It takes time for the results of the habit to be seen because it gets compounded over time. Charles Duhigg, in his book, talks about keystone habits. Now, these are special habits where having established these habits will have a positive ripple effect on other parts of your life. A good keystone habit would be a regular dinner with your family on the dining table, device free. Now, studies have shown that when that happens, the communication between the family members improve, the sleep patterns improve. These are those positive ripple effects I'm talking about. And what are bad habits? It's the same thing in reverse. Bad habits are formed and they accrue what's called as negative compound interest. So if you see somebody who has put on weight or has developed a pot belly or even chronic disease, chances are these are the result of bad habits accumulated over a period of time. Habit expert Gretchen Rubin said it well, that what matters more is not what you do once in a while, but what you do on a day-to-day basis. The research is very clear. Good habits have a strong correlation to happiness and longevity. Let's talk about the habit areas that shape our lives. Well, frankly, habits apply to every part of your life. We already discussed about family life, having a keystone habit of eating device free on the dining table as a family. Another example I can think of is when I want to help my daughter with her homework, we fix time and a place saying that I will come to your room at 5 o'clock every day, 5 to 6, and we'll get the homework done. That establishes the cue and ensures that the chances of that happening are very high. Health is an obvious area for habits. Exercise, sleep have profound impact on your health. Work-life balance. So I have a habit for what I call as work shutdown. So when I'm finished with my work, I make sure that I save my work and close the applications and close down my laptop and write down anything that is still in my head that I need to attend to the next day. That simple habit makes me switch off from work when I come home. Again, note here that some of these habits have positive effect on other areas of your life as well. Now comes the most interesting and important section, which is how do we form these habits and how do we find the motivation? I have a few tips for that. Number one is to start small. When you want to pick up a new habit such as exercising, you don't start by saying that I will exercise every day for 1 hour. That is setting yourself up for failure. You start small and you say, I will exercise even if it is 5 to 10 minutes. And even if I do 4, 5 times in a week, you keep going. Over a period of time, that neurological pathway gets established, and that is when you can further optimize the habit and increase your time, intensity, etc. Number two is called habit stacking. It is nothing but when you want to start a new habit, to piggyback on an existing habit to make it easy because the cue is already there. For example, as soon as you brush your teeth, you have a glass of water. Or as soon as you finish drinking your coffee, you write down your top 3 priorities for your day. Number 3 is setting up your environment. This is a big one. You need to set up your environment in such a way that it is easier to inculcate good habits and tougher to do bad habits. For example, when you open your fridge, you should be able to see the healthy options, snacks, right in front of you, and your ice creams and other junk food is tucked away somewhere deep in the corners. And the last tip I have for you is tie your habits to your sense of identity. Studies have shown that if a habit is associated with your sense of identity, the chances of you doing it are more because the willpower you need is less. I have an example here. When I bought a smoothie maker for my family and I started making smoothies, I started calling myself as the smoothie king in front of my children just for fun, and they picked up on that tag, and so that kind of became my identity, and that made me do smoothies more regularly. To conclude, what I find so fascinating and what I wanted to share with you here is how powerful these seemingly simple day-to-day habits are. And note that we also have power on setting up these habits, and over a period of time, they become the fabric of our lives. As I'd like to say, how you spend your days is how you spend your life. And you don't need perfect elaborate systems. Simple routines, simple habit stacking, and some well thought of keystone habits will make a huge difference in the long run. Again, this is Shankar. I hope this video gave you a moment to reflect or a new perspective. If you found this useful, consider coming back to this channel for more. Until then, keep growing. Bye bye.